Is Minnesota headed in the right direction or the wrong direction? Because I think we are unquestionably headed in the wrong direction. And I love this state. We started our show talking about why it's one of the greatest states in the nation to raise a family, and I believe that's still true. But I think we're going in the wrong direction because we're straight up in denial of the headwinds and the challenges that are facing us as a state. And I am very worried that we are so cautious as a state and so defensive about how great Minnesota is that I worry we're going to miss the moment. We're going to miss this time to right the ship because the ship is going in the wrong direction. My issues with the direction our state is going, it's not exactly the things that we spend a ton of our time talking about. And that perhaps is part of why I think we're going in the wrong direction. It's misplaced priorities. We have Republicans who want to make the next governor election purely about fraud in the past and overreach in the past. Democrats want to make the gubernatorial election about Trump and ICE. I am worried about schools that are not teaching kids at the level that we used to teach kids. I'm worried about a growing number of mandates and requirements without any money to pay for these things, especially in the schools, but at all levels of government. I'm worried about the fact that no one seems to be focused on the issue of how do we get more jobs and more people to come to our state. Knowing that it's a challenging environment. It's cold. It's the upper Midwest. When all the mojo tends to be Texas, Arizona, North and South Carolina, Florida. I'm worried we are going in the wrong direction, and I'm mostly worried that our politicians are not responding to that crisis with any sort of a vision. Republicans want to talk about the past. Democrats want to talk about the White House. And the rest of us are looking at the cost of health care and I don't want to exaggerate and say failing schools, but I will say our schools are treading water at the best. And we're not growing. We're not growing.
And that used to be one of the strengths of Minnesota is our education. And we talked about why Minnesota was one of the best states according to Wallet Hub. But education, I mean, you start mitigating or minimizing some of those strengths, then all of a sudden those assets, they're not as strong.
651-461-9226. Is Minnesota going in the right direction or the wrong direction? And why? Texters coming in, wrong direction. Why has no one been held accountable for all the fraud? I do think fraud is an issue, major issue. But again, I think we get so hung up on the idea of somebody's got to be held accountable. All right, like Tim Walz could fire 3 people, and it still doesn't solve the problem that our government is entirely orchestrated on trying to deliver money to people in need instead of deliver proven results and make sure that our taxpayer money is being guarded and being used effectively. Man, I have no problem with the taxes in this state. I know that's an unpopular opinion. I really have no problem with the taxes in this state if we are getting results. Are the roads good? Are the schools good? Are we helping people who can't help themselves? Fine. Take my money. I'm really not that worried about it. What I am concerned about is that those questions I just asked, I don't think there are good answers to them. I don't think there are good answers to that. 651-461-9226. Jason, I think we're going in the wrong direction. I love Minnesota. My family has farmed here since 1870, but I don't know how much longer I can live here. Greater Minnesota is completely ignored. Taxes are insane. Nothing gets fixed. Man, living in Greater Minnesota, is there anywhere in the country where you won't be ignored? This country, over the last 40 years, has become more and more an urban country. And I don't know where you're going to move to that the government is going to pay more attention to, a county that has 60,000 or 80,000 people in it versus a county that has 1 million people in it. I just think that's a little bit of the reality of how Americans have chosen to locate around cities and locate around jobs. As farming has become more and more computerized and high-tech, there's just less of a need in Minnesota where we're growing corn and beans and sugar beets that we just don't need as many people. I think that's just part of the reality. 763 or spoken like a true rich guy. I don't know where you're going to move. That we are getting punished economically for their mistakes in the government. Jason, $9 billion taxpayer dollars in fraud. Seriously, people should be in jail. So I would say about that, we don't know that there's $9 billion in fraud. Like, we don't need to go to the most extreme number. We can acknowledge that fraud is a major, major problem. On this show, we've certainly been aggressive about saying, I think the governor hasn't had enough attention to detail. I would have fired some people if I were him. Let's go to Mary in St. Paul. Mary, you are on CCO. Is Minnesota on the right track or the wrong track?
I think we're kind of in the middle. But when you were talking, you kind of hit a string in my heart. I've been a teacher for almost 40 years, and I'll be retiring. And it gets painful for me to see the test scores and the blaming of the teachers and the schools for the problems when there's so much to look at.
Yeah.
So being a teacher who taught early in my career where my test scores were really, really good and kids were doing really well, to now I have so many failing, and yet it's still me, the teacher. The curriculum's changed. What has changed, and I can tell you, looking at society, the falling apart of the family and not having the parents support the kids at school. They're on cell phones, they're gaming, they don't read books at home, so the reading scores are getting bad. Poverty has increased so much. I now teach way more students of poverty, and those kids struggle because they don't have the background experiences, the background vocabulary, the background knowledge. And so, pouring a lot of money into schools does help, but it's the parenting. And I don't know how we fix the parenting. And I'm not here to say every parent is not doing their job.
No, I think...
But I can tell you it's huge. And then the laws have changed for when we need to have consequences for students in schools if they get in trouble. We can no longer keep them back from recess so there's like no punishment. So the kids just keep getting away with all kinds of
And they know it. And they know it, too.
And they know it.
Yeah.
And so we have lawmakers who made laws for schools, but they don't work there, so they don't know what it's like. It's like if I went into the post office and decided to create rules for the postal workers, I don't work there. I don't know what they need. So I think to sit and blame schools and teachers, it is a much bigger societal thing. I also think over the years, a lot of my kids had some religion, So it was like the parents, the church, and the school kind of raising the child like a village.
Yeah.
And now in so many cases, it's just the school. It's heartbreaking.
It is hard. Mary, that's such a good call. Mary points out so many good issues because I do not blame the schools. I do think it's fair to look at these societal situations that Mary's talking about. We are seeing these in every state. It's not unusual to us. But I do think the burdens we put on teachers with the mandates that come from the state and come from the federal government, it's an impossible situation. You got to read to your kids. Or we have to figure out ways to fund things in that 0 to 5 age range so kids are ready to rock. But Mary makes a lot of really, really good points. Let's break. Allison, you're next. Stay on the line. Lots of texts coming in. Are we on the right track or the wrong track of a state? 651-461-9226.
With DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, Jason here for our friends at the Minnesota Pork Board. And last night, oh, did I have a delicious bone-in pork chop from a Minnesota pig farmer. So good. We cooked it in the air fryer last night, and that was delightful. Delightful. You might be looking, look, everybody's busy, right? I know you're so busy trying to get to and from and take care of your kids and get them to this practice and get them to that practice. When I'm looking for recipe inspiration, I go to tastewhatporkcando.com. And they have so many great ideas, but my favorite thing about this website is that you can filter recipes, and you can do it by cooking method. So if you go to the air fryer, click Apply Filter, you got air fryer pork nuggets, you've got air fryer honey garlic pork tenderloin, Korean pork chops, balsamic pork chops. Doesn't that sound good? All of that at Taste What Pork Can Do. But if you ever need a great idea, just go to your butcher shop or your grocery store and tell them, man, DeRusha talks about pork all the time. What should I do? Let's have Minnesota pork for dinner tonight. Oh, yeah.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Jen, I didn't know you shopped here.
Hey, I'm hunting for something fresh for spring.
Oh, girl, skip them all. Jewelry Television has the best spring looks right now.
JTV, way ahead of you. Just hit up JTV.com yesterday, scored the cutest clover earrings, 2 tennis bracelets, and this gorgeous pearl ring.
Right now, new customers get $20 off any purchase of $99 or more at JTV.com.
Oh, and gold hoops and this turquoise bracelet.
Just a couple things, huh?
Maybe more than a couple.
Jordana here, inviting WCCO listeners to join me on an adventure to the Glacier, Yellowstone, and Grand Teton National Parks. We're going August 6th through the 15th. Embark on the ultimate Rockies vacation, featuring awe-inspiring natural beauty in 3 famous national parks. Visit holidayvacations.com, keyword WCCO radio to request a brochure. Watch the travel show and book this tour. I can't wait to see you at the Glacier, Yellowstone, and Grand Teton National Parks.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha.
It's okay to be skeptical and cynical about this. I think that's part of the deal, but it's also okay to have fun.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Is Minnesota on the right track or the wrong track? There's a new poll that came out today looking at where we're at. And the truth is, nearly 6 in 10 Minnesota adults say the state is headed in the wrong direction. Only 19% say we're on the right track. Republicans, or lean Republicans, 80% say we're in the wrong direction. 78%, which is normal, right? The Democrats are in charge. But even on the Democratic side, Dems or lean Dem, 41% of Minnesota adults say that we're headed in the wrong direction. So that's pretty staggering, I think, and pretty universal belief. Let's go to Allison in the Twin Cities. Education is something that's really resonating with people as far as whether or not we're in the right direction. Allison, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Mary 100%. I've been in education for 27 years, and I'm not going to say what district I teach in, but
sure.
I do know that our open enrollment helps fund our school district, but in my opinion, it's killing public education in a way that we maybe didn't think through when we made the decision for open enrollment. Each district is vying for that student dollar, and we are creating programs that are getting away from basics, and I think we need to get back to basics and stop kind of vying for every student dollar and every pupil in our district so that we're not taking money away from other school districts.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say my biggest disappointment in the time when the Democrats had the trifecta is that there was an opportunity to re-envision the way that we fund our schools, and they didn't either have the votes or the courage or the vision to get it done. Because the way we fund our schools, as you point out, it becomes this sort of public school district against public school district kind of race to get a student to have the funding. And it's just sort of an outdated way, I think, of funding our schools.
I agree.
Yeah. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate it, Allison. Lots of texts coming in. There are other issues besides the education issues. Texter says, compared to other states, we are still far better off by most indicators. However, I agree on the larger point that we are nonetheless headed in the wrong direction. I wish we'd position ourselves now to be a leader in the coming massive economic change due to looming AI. Another texter, wrong direction. Dayton 2 terms, Walz 2 terms. Lots of damage done in those years. MSP leadership is poor. Different view, the right direction. It's been 1 year of teaching kids financial literacy in high school. We are working on opening up the mining industry and regulating it responsibly. I do think the texter who says, I wish we'd position ourselves in AI, I wish we'd position ourselves in anything. And I know there are economic agencies in this state that are working hard to bring in the next generation of businesses that we can be a winner in. So what are the things that Minnesota does better or has a workforce that the rest of the country doesn't have? Well, we have massive food manufacturers, right? We have General Mills here. We have the former SuperValue, UNFI. We have Post. We have Target. So consumer goods, food, and then we have ag. So there's an area that we could be doing great in. We also, of course, have for a long time been a biomedical leader, but are we still? Are we positioned going forward? I don't know. I mean, those are the areas where I think, I understand if you live in greater Minnesota, you're worried, right? A texter, I grew up on a small family farm, like it or not. Small rural towns have been declining for years due to high-end billionaires. Farms are corporate. Small company employers got bought out. I would like to see a vision for how we bring manufacturing and what sectors we bring manufacturing back to some of those parts of our state.
Yeah, that's a big problem when you do have these, small communities in outstate. When you lose one of your primary, companies, whether it's a merger, a buyout, whatever, and then those jobs go away, those jobs are not easily replaced. They go, and then everybody's kind of looking, well, where do we go? What do we do? And then it forces people to move where the jobs are, which more times than not is in an urban area.
Right. That's right. Fundamental question. We need to talk more about future and solutions. To me, we love to talk about problems, but forward looking, I don't know. I'd like to do more of that on that show for sure. A little positivity from our last texter who says, we're in the right direction. My happiness isn't based off of who the governor or the president is. Spring is on the way. Lighten up, people. I mean, in a cosmic sense, yes, I think